really. I means we're going to get two videos today. So the second half of this session, um, I was going to set up. So I'm going to walk through setting up my machine. Should have done this while GBK was actually setting his own up. I hope you guys can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. So I'm just going to quickly. All right. So I'm going to spin up the same thing GBK did. Leave everything as default. I'm going to create a key. I'm just going to call this March 24 because I'm just going to be the keeper I'll be using throughout the session. Um, all right, so I'm going to leave everything as it is so that we don't take time at all. All right. So like I said, there are multiple ways in which you can connect to your instance. Using the Instance Connect is one of the easiest way you can do, or you can connect to this instance. But connecting to using because it uses SSH connection. Using SSH is a protocol, a secure protocol that you use and connecting from to a remote machine. Uh, is using it from the term from the browser poses some can be problematic in that it doesn't, if you leave it for too long, it will terminate, and your browser and plugins might not be readily available in your browser, especially when you're using multiple browsers. So it's not very for quick check of things. You can, for now that you just want an instance, you can always use that, and then yeah, it's not the best. You want to use a tools that will make managing your resources as easy and convenient as possible. Yeah, so there is an SSH client. So we can also connect using your 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 terminal on your PC. For Mac users, you can use the terminal. For Windows users, I think you can use your PowerShell or um, your command prompt. Again, that's is like it's good to know how to use it, but it's not the way you want to go. So if I bring up my terminal now, I can connect using my terminal. My instance is up and running. Sorry.
Can I ask a question?
Please go ahead.
What is the function of the key pair?
Okay, okay, good question. So the key pair is um, the way you authenticate. So when you need to sign into your, say your AWS account now, use your username and your password. Yeah, but for our web server now, our machine, or when you need to, if you have a user in on your machine, on your PC, say you have multiple users now, the user can sign in with their password, they have a password. So the key pair is basically where you authenticate using SSH to connect to your machine. So it uses a cryptographic algorithm, uses two keys the way you have it. You have a public and a private key. The public key runs inside of sorry,
that
yes, the
were
public
like
key
they were
runs
pretty
inside
gnarly.
of your web server now.
But they also
There's
they
a
also don't give
an
this to
SSH
anyone. They don't give it to
directory
me.
We
now.
can barely
How
hear
do
you because
they give
somebody's
people that
mic is
for
on.
Okay,
And
that's can you please mute Ogechi
it's
so that I
awful.
can
Okay. I mean, some of the lemons were like green, but
trying to get where my
yeah, I know. It's just really
where
fun.
is Zoom?
I got to clean out a bunch of lemons.
Just give me a minute. Let me see. Mute.
And then also
I don't know who asked that question because I wasn't looking at. Oh, okay. All right.
It was you that asked the question.
Oh, okay. Chidema. All right. Just so right now, so you have your machine, yeah. So there are two keys that get generated, when we created that key pair. It's a pair for a reason. There's a public and a private part to that pair. So the public key now is inside of the machine. If we scroll down, we can see if you guys can see my screen, yes?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, so we have the key pair assigned at launch. This is the public key. If we log into the machine, there's the part where the public key actually resides, and then the one that got downloaded onto my machine is the private key. Yeah, so when you now if you want to connect to that machine, yeah, so it's the private one that gets kind of downloaded would be matched in a way, when you pass it into whatever tool or command now that you want to use to authenticating. It would take that private key pair now that you have and then match it with public key that is on your machine. And if they match, then you get access to connect to that machine. But if they don't match, you don't have access. You can't connect to that machine. So it's basically your way of securely connecting to the machine. So your key, that private key that you have downloaded is like your password if you have it to connecting to the machine. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, I understand it. Thank you.
Cool. And so you want to keep that as secure as possible. You don't just want to, you can't even start sharing it, maybe through WhatsApp or whatever. It's very, very wrong because if it gets to the wrong hand, it means whoever has it can connect to your machine. Blessing, did you want to say something?
Yes, please. I would really appreciate it if you come again with that explanation, but please probably explain in a layman's term.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
thank you.
Like I said, the key pair uses an algorithm to create a cryptographic algorithm. Again, it's just a way of creating random texts. Now, that can. There's no way I would not complicate these things here, but random text gets created, and then those texts are kind of separated into the public parts to the text and the private text. It's one text, but now they've been separated in a way that if they come together, it makes one. Yeah. So the public one, the first half of that key is stored on the machine now, on the machine that you created. When we created it, it was because we were creating a machine and then we attached that public one to that machine. And then the private one got downloaded to our PC. So if you need to connect to that machine now, there should be a way for that machine now to know that this person that is trying to connect to me has the right credentials. We call it, authentication now. How do you authenticate? How does this machine now? This is a server running somewhere. It's like, say someone wants to come into your house. You have a key. You and your partner, you have keys to your house now, and so if someone wants to enter your house, they need that key to put into the door and then turn the knob and whatever and come into the house. So that's basically what the key does. The house, the server now is the house. So for me to come into the house, even though the door is there, but I still need to, the right key needs to be put into that knob, and then before it turns. If you go into, you can't take a key from, even in the same house, except it's maybe the master key. Now in the same house, the key to your room is not the same key that will open the front door. Yeah. So that public key, that private key that gets downloaded is like the key that you have, and then the knob, that's what's they call Maltese now, that you have on the door is like the public key. That's the one that is, out there, is guarding against, okay, yes, I must make sure you have the right key to put into this hole to turn it. So that's basically, I think that's a more better way to explain it. Does that make sense, Blessing?
Yes, yes, it does. And for the key pair, we can actually make use of any password, like any password, right?
We're not using password now, so that key pair is like our password. Say
Okay.
even if your house is automated now, you still, and then you have this electronic door, you still need to punch in your password in there. Even though you can't, if you go to another house that has the same, even if it's the same machine there, you can't put in your own code to your own house and it won't open. Yeah, so yeah, you can say it's like your password. It just gets downloaded. So you see it in action, just now. So I have my terminal open here. I'm going to open up that key pair so you can see that it's just it's random text. So I'm going to go to download. I hope this is bold enough for you guys to see.
Yes,
All
please.
right.
Yes.
All right. So let me just cut. I downloaded, I think, what did I call that? My key. March 24, sorry. So let me March 24. So this is the private key that got downloaded. This is basically what is inside of it, inside this private key. If I connect to the instance now, this is very, very wrong. I'm going to change this key afterwards. All of this as it is now, that's the access. If you have this, if I copy and paste this in the chat, you guys can use and connect to my instance. So you never want to have this displayed to anybody. It's very, very, it's private. It's only private for a reason. Yeah. But this is basically what you have in there. And if I connect to this instance now, there is this also a version of this key. It's the public one now inside of that machine. So when you put this private and the public key together, there is what we call an handshake kind of an authentication. And so we'll say, okay, yes, this person has the right access to enter this machine. Yeah, so I'm going to use this private key that I have now. So I can do this again multiple ways. And you learn in IT, there are multiple ways of doing the same thing. There are different routes, of achieving one thing. And so this should make you kind of be open that, okay, the way Moyo did this now is not the only way of achieving this thing. There are 10 different ways of doing this same thing. So we learned, how we can use the Instance Connect to connect to our, PC, to our machine that we just created. Also, we can connect using the command. So this is the command. This is the part where you will need to get as comfortable as possible. Yeah, so we have the command SSH, and then we have a flag I. This is basically saying my identity. This is what I want to use in identifying myself. So you're going to pass in that key, that private key now that we have, because I'm in the directory where that file is. So I can basically just call that file directly. But if I'm not in that directory, again, we would learn all of these things, directory, what have you, and all of these commands. Just bear with me now. Now we're just trying to connect to our machine. So now, what user, or aside the fact that I have this file, I still need the public IP address. So every machine, every server, every PC has that is running in the cloud or running on the internet has an IP address. An IP address is basically like the name, how that machine, that server is identified. Even our PC, once it connects once we connect to our ISP or whatever it is that we use that will connect to the internet, automatically there's a unique IP address that is assigned to that's our public PC, our PC in front of us, our smartphones. Once we have internet connection, our ISP does all of that, on the background, even though we may not know it. But now we are the ones to want to start managing all of these things, all of those things that we use on a regular, that we use that we don't know how it happens. We just know that we pick up our phone, we type, we go pick up, open up, an application, and there's so many things that is happening background that we don't know, even right there on our PC. So these are the things that we want to kind of demystify now. But we're taking it from, say, us from the server part. Our PC in front of us now is connected to the internet. There's a public IP address that is assigned to it that we don't know about because our ISP has taken control. They've abstracted all of those away. But now we are setting up our own server in the cloud. So AWS now has assigned a public IP address to our server. And what this does is it makes it publicly accessible. It means anybody that has this IP address, and the right credentials should be able to connect to it, should be able to talk to that server. If there's some application running in that server with the public IP address, we'll talk about DNS and how we can take the IP address and make it, a descriptive name. Again, we'll get to that, but there's an IP address at the background doing all of those things. So that is what we will be using to be able to connect to this instance. We can pick it from here. We have so much information, about this piece. These are metadata, just information regarding this piece. But there's another way to get it in case you don't want to use here. Like I said, there are multiple ways of getting these things. Yeah. So if you go to I'm check this now and then click on connect. In the instance connect, there is the public IP address in here to get this. And then if you click on SSH clients, you have different options also in here. But the ones we'll be focusing on is instance connect and SSH clients, session manager, serial console. There are ways of connecting, but when we get to maybe cloud computing, we'll talk about those. If you click on SSH client now, you would see instructions, steps, on how you can connect using your terminal. So it's telling you open an SSH client, locate your keypad that was used to launch, then run this command. Yes, I omitted this, but thank God I came to this now. I would run this. What this is saying, if I try to connect to my instance without running this, let's even try it. Yeah. Let me just get the IP address. So this is the command. I can just copy this this command basically now, and then paste it in my terminal. Let's see if it's going to throw any error. I wanted to type it out before, but thank God AWS has made this available for us. So if I try to connect this, okay, let's leave it like that. This should throw an error that my PEM file is publicly accessible. Yes, Ogechi, you can go ahead with your question. To open this terminal. And so my again, I use a Mac PC. So there's a terminal that comes out of the box, this terminal. Yes, we'll talk about Terminus in a bit. In fact, that's what we'll be using for the rest of this. I just wanted to point out that there are different ways to doing this. So in case there are times that Terminus will not work for you, so you can always you have the option to use this. With this, in fact, I use this test. There are times that Terminus, again, SSH clients probably will not work. So you have this option to use this. This is like use this as a litmus test, kind of, to test that you can establish connection. All right. So this is saying, I see that you added a key. Are you sure you want to continue connecting? Yeah, obviously, I initiated this. So this is saying unprotected private key file. You have too much permissions on this. So if I do an ls an LA on my March PC, I see that it has read, write, read, and it's just supposed to have read. So we'll talk about these are the things that we'll learn during our Linux session. Yeah. So AWS advise that you use a very limited, give only the right permission. We call it the principle of least privilege. So for your pen file, it only needs write or read permission. Yeah, so that's what this chmod 400 actually does. But for this, if you are going to use your SSH client, an SSH client, say Tamios now, which we'll be talking about, you don't need to do this. Your SSH client would automatically help you manage that permission on it. So again, if I run this now and then run my command again, I should have access to my machine. I am in my EC2 instance now. All right. Again, this is just by the way, this is another way of connecting if you have your terminal in your PC. But we won't be using this because it also has its disadvantage now. So we'll be using Termios. For those that have not downloaded Termios, just come to your browser and search for Termios. Download is an cross-platform tool. Different SSH clients. We have Mobile Extern, we have PuTTY, but Termios was chosen because of its ease of use. Mobile Extern also, I think, is cross-platform. You can use it on Mac, on Linux, and on Windows also. So Termios again is what we're going to stick to. So if you've not downloaded it, just go here. It's also very, very straightforward. For Windows, you download the .exe. For Mac, yes, you download the .dmg. I think you even have Termios in the different stores also. If you prefer to download from the different stores, but be sure that you're downloading from the official sites, not from maybe a third party. So I've downloaded, I have Termios running already. So to quickly bring that up, then we'll connect to it. I hope we guys are still together. Again, today we are just setting up. By the time we start the class proper, where's my Termios not starting up? Oh, come on. So it's giving, okay. Right. Termios is up. All right, so my Termios is up. For you guys, you probably would not have any hosting here. The PC also is fairly new, so so to connect using your Termios, there are a few things that you need to do. First and foremost, the M file that you have downloaded, you need to add it as a keychain in your Termios. Sometimes when you just download Termios, they'll ask you to sign up. You can go ahead and do that, but I think you get free. It's not a free tool, basically, although. But when you sign up after the 7 days trial expires, you can always come to settings and then log out of the account if you have issues, or you can just go back to using the starter, plan, which is also is fine. Then the advantage is that you can, if you sign up, if you upgrade, you can move from PC to PC, and then you still have one of the different hosts that you have in there. Again, not very, very important here. So here, if you're going to connect to our PC now, you need to first come to keychain, and then the pen file that we added, you need to add it as part of your keychains. So I'm going to come here, come to keys, and then I'm going to import from key file. Yeah, I'm going to click on import. This will open up why is this is it doing like this? There. All right, so I'm going to select the match perm file and then open it up. And then again, we see the privates, all of that jargons now. And then this is done. That has been imported. I'm going to close out on this. And then I'm going to come back to host and then click on new host. And so this would open up this by the side here is asking for the IP or the host name. I'm going to get the IP address. Let me just go back to my instance connect, and then I'm going to get my public IP address. There are different, there's public and private IP addresses. We'll talk about that in a minute. So I'm going to put my public IP address in here. I hope I copied the right thing. Yes, I did. And then I'm going to scroll to the bottom where it says SSH on port 22. The username credentials for this is for Amazon Linux, depending on the version of or the distribution of Linux you're using. For the Amazon EC2 instance, the default user that comes in, with that EC2 instance now, that's Linux image that we choose, what we're setting up is EC2-user. If you had set up an Ubuntu machine, the default user that gets set up is called Ubuntu. We'll spin up an Ubuntu machine, soon also. So I'm going to write that EC2-user in here. And I'm going to click on key, because we're not using password now. It's key I'm going to use. And then I'm going to select key. This would bring out all of the keys that I have that I'd put in my keychain. March 24 is the one that I need. If I try to use a different key, obviously it will not connect. And then I'm going to click on connect. So this would again just connect to, for the first time it will ask that, are you sure you want to connect? I say, yeah, just add it to the list of known hosts. I actually missed a step. You can actually add a label to this host. Yeah, so this is connected. It's basically the same thing we've done in 3 different ways now, using the instance, using the terminal on your PC and then using an SSH client. Using an SSH client is the preferred way because you can have multiple, multiple hosts in here, which again is more professional. If you're working with developers and you're using this, they'll ask you questions. So I forgot to see here in this, I can actually add a label to this. So depending on what the server is for, we'll be working with quite a number of servers. So depending on what the server is for, you want to name it appropriately so you can work with it. So we have in the general parts label here. So I'm just going to call this Linux module. And then we're going to connect to this. So we have that in here. Well, it's connected already. So try to open up another. So with this now, I can have multiple connections to the same instance. Yeah, that's one of the advantage of using this. Well, I'm just going to close out on this. So we have our machine. So this is the interface that we will be working on for the next 2 weeks. In fact, for the rest of, you'll be seeing this over and over again. You need to be as comfortable as possible, on this. The next 10 minutes, are there questions? If you're having any issues, set up your machine because, again, this is what we'll be working on for the rest of this session. So before we actually close off, I hope you guys are able to get to this. So for every machine that we spin up, being charged per hour for it, even though, like I said, we have a free tier for enabled for your free account. You have 750 hours to set up. But I always advise that's when you only spin up your machine when you're about to use it. So if you're not using this machine, you can always stop it, and you will not pay for using it. If your machine is stopped, you don't pay for it. This is one of the beauty again of this machine. So in your console here, you have this instance state up here. When you click on the checkbox, you can always have that, and then you can stop your instance. So if you're not using it, I'll always advise that you stop it so that you're not being billed. You will be billed for associated resources, but you will not be billed for stopping the instance. So if you stop your instance, and only put it back on when you need to run, when you need to say use it during the class, personal, when you need to practice on your own. Again, with this way, you would not run into unnecessary bill at the end of the month. Always try to have this at the back of your mind, and also when you stop it, the public IP address will be released. When this is done running public, you won't see a public IP address here again. And then when you start it back up, the same way you stopped it, if you click on the instance state, when it's done stopping, it takes a minute though to stop. When you start it back up, the new public IP address. Oh, okay. So once you just come on the instance now. All right, let me show it again. I've not restarted my PC in a very long time, so it's kind of dragging. I will restart it immediately after this class. Right, so the instance that you have now, Ogechi, can you see that? If I uncheck this now, there's nothing checked, but if I check it, if you check on this, you come to instance states, you have different options to start, stop, reboot, hibernate, or terminate. Terminate means to destroy. So for you, if the instance is running, if the instance state is in the running state, you can stop it. But right now it's stopped. So the option that I have is either to start it or to terminate it. All right. So like I was saying earlier, I hope you got that now, Ogechi. All right. Like I said, once you stop an instance, the public IP address gets released because I think AWS now charges you for public IP address. Again, AWS is out to milk every penny out of you, and I'll try as much as possible to make sure that we don't pay AWS anything unnecessary. So, but once you start this instance back up, this public IP address would have changed. What you have in here now probably you won't get exactly this public IP address. So once you start it up, if you want to connect using your SSH client, you're going to wait for it to give you a new public IP address. You now copy that public IP address, and then, in fact, let me just do that real quick. I'm going to start this up, and you see that the public IP address will change. Did you want to ask something, Chibuike?
Yeah, I see it's running on my end, but when I click on instance state, it doesn't let me stop it. Like I can't stop it.
Are you sure? Be sure you have it checked in here. If you don't have it checked, the instance state will be there, but you won't have any of these things.
Got you. Okay, let me have it checked. Okay.
Make sure you choose the instance that you want to stop, and then
there we go.
All right.
Got it.
Okay. All right. So now you see that I have a new public IP address. So I copy this if I want to, on my instance now, and then I'm going to come back here. Every other thing would remain the same. It's just the public IP address that I need to change in here. If I try to connect this in here now, because again, this public IP address does not exist, so it won't connect. So all I need to do, all you need to do when you start up your instance back is change the public IP address and then connect. There is the notion of elastic IP addresses. We'll talk about elastic IP address that you can attach to your instance that does not change. When we get to that process, right now we don't actually need it. Yeah, but for now, just try to stop your instance anytime you're not using it, and then when you need to use it, that way you can use your 750 hours rest of this training without having to be built by AWS. I hope that's fine, guys. Would call it a day. We'll stop here for today, and then we'll continue from here tomorrow. For those that have not set up their machine, please do set up their machine. But I expect that everybody should have seen those videos. It's very, very important so that I don't start from all the way from the scratch, because I want us to. Should be like a review, yeah. But say that we're just setting up. So the 2 weeks that you guys had, you did not think about Moban at all. That's fine. I'll make sure you guys will be getting plenty take-home work. If you have any questions on the setup, you can please ask, or else we'll call it a day for today, and then we'll move from here tomorrow. Okay. All right, guys. I hope you are as excited as I am for this session, and we're going to have an interesting time together, guys. Thank you very much for your time. Apologies for the 40 minutes, but I think that has been sorted out, although Zoom will probably take a minute. So you're going to get 2 recordings for this session in your emails. A link to the playlist to be shared with you guys, so that anytime you go there, see all of the videos. In about 1 or 2 hours, the videos will be made available after every session. All right, guys. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good rest of the day.
Good night. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye.